Hello mate, got 2 minutes? Welcome to the Better You in 2 podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Frimpong, and I'm an artist that loves to read books. I have a YouTube channel where I do 2-minute animated book summaries, hence the name Better You in 2. This podcast will be used to talk and review books in just a little more detail. In this episode, we'll be reviewing the book Black Girl Finance by Selina Flavius. Okay, so for those who do not know or have not seen the 2-minute animated video on my YouTube channel, I'll just start by mentioning that this is a best-selling book in 2021, and Selina Flavius begins the book by highlighting the issues regarding the gender pay gap and how that is even worse within the ethnic minorities. From her personal experience, she struggled to find information about finances from people that look like her. She mentions 3 top finance books, which are The Richest Man in Babylon, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Total Money Makeover. All 3 of these books I read, by the way, and are fantastic books, but the issue for her was they were all written by middle-aged men. This showed that there was a clear void that needed to be filled, and I guess because of that, it became her mission to become the person to fill that void so that other black women could find a safe space to talk about their finances. I also believe that she's a major part of a new wave of influencers, especially in the ethnic minorities, talking more and more about finances in the UK. Okay, so she speaks about a time when she hit rock bottom and having not been able to speak to her own sister about being in debt because she felt so embarrassed to speak about a financial situation. I think a lot of people would have also been there, especially when finances are not really spoken about in the UK. We don't really teach money management in schools, and it seems, a lot of people in their upbringing didn't really talk about their finances. So even though the book was written by and for black women, I could relate to a lot of things that were spoken, as I myself was in a similar financial trouble some years back, and I didn't feel comfortable enough to speak to my own family about it. Thank God we're no longer in that financial trouble, but the fact still remains, you're talking about money is a bit of a taboo in the UK. What I want to do now is pick out 3 lessons I've learned from reading this book. And my hope is that you will pick up this book, give it a read. It definitely won't be a waste of your time if you do so. Alright, the first one has to be the subject of money scripts. I've known about the Black Girl Finance organisation before the book was released because my wife had attended one of her events, and I managed to listen to a few episodes on the podcast sometime last year in 2020. It's a term that probably most are not familiar with, but it's one of those things that we all have. Once you recognise and understand what the money script means, you will begin to realise how it has had an effect on your relationship with money. My understanding of the money script is basically your viewpoint on money. That viewpoint is often developed at a young age during your upbringing, and what can happen is you can carry that viewpoint into your adult life subconsciously. This can be a result of things you were told about money or simply an observation of how your parents treated money. Selina Flavius mentions how talking about money growing up was inappropriate in her household, hence why she struggled to have that embarrassing talk with her twin sister. The hope with this though is that you can replace those negative money scripts with positive ones. The second lesson I'm going to speak about is the author mentions 3 budgeting methods that you can use to help you get out of financial trouble. The first one is the 50-30-20 method. This is where 50% of your income covers your bills, 30% of your income goes towards your wants, and 20% has to go towards your savings, and I think that also includes your investments as well. I like the sound of this method because it really brings clarity. It also gives you room to spend on the things that you actually enjoy, guilt-free, once you've covered all your bills and expenses and you've put money aside for saving and investing. The only issue with this one is that if you're in a position where your bills is more than 50% of your income, this is something that you can't really do. And if that's the case, then one of the following 2 budgeting methods will probably be better suited for you. The second budget method is the zero-based budgeting method. And so this method is a simple calculation. Your income minus your outgoings equals 0 at the end of every month. Everything you intend to spend that month goes down as an expense, including money aside for saving and investing. And then obviously you would know how much money you've accrued for that month, and you just allocate every single penny as an expense so that every penny has been accounted for. The third and final budget method is the envelope budgeting method. This is one where traditionally you would withdraw all your money for the month, put all your money in different envelopes for different categories. So for example, you could have one envelope for your food budget, one envelope for transport, another for leisure, another for utilities, and so on and so on. As you put the money into each envelope category, as the month goes on, you use the applicable envelope to spend on the applicable thing. Once that money in that envelope has finished, then that means you cannot spend any money within that category. Obviously, as we're now in 2021, you may seek a cashless option, as withdrawing large amounts of money every month can be a bit tedious. There are several banks that have an envelope type system in a digital format like Monzo Bank, where you can create different pockets, and then as your income comes in, you can just allocate some money into each pocket, and again, when the money's finished within that category, the same principle applies. You can no longer spend money in that category until the next payday. The third and final lesson that I learned from this book is that savings do not increase in line with inflation. Currently, my bank is only offering about 0.01 interest on savings. So you're only going to get around 0.01% of return of investment if you put that into a conventional savings account. And the reason why she points this out is that there is an increasing important need for you to know and begin to invest. There is no guarantees on your return on investment, as that can always be up and down. However, investment returns are generally higher than the rate of inflation. And that's the only way really that you're going to win with your finances over the long term. Okay, so to finish it off, this is a book that I really enjoyed, even though being a black male myself, I am not the target audience for this book. Having heard so many great reviews, I really did feel the need to read this book. I'll definitely recommend this book for people that are obviously black females, as the title suggests, who want to win with their finances and are currently in debt and don't really know how to get themselves out of trouble. Selina Flavius makes it very clear and gives step-by-step advice. It's a book that I couldn't recommend highly enough. She gives several real-life references of people that she's helped with encouraging advice. And after reading this book, you will definitely feel confident that you can turn your financial situation around. You have been listening to the Better You Into podcast. Thanks for listening, and God bless.